All right, time for some more historical, some black powder. So we're here at Mark's, and we are playing black powder. So not Napoleonics, we're playing colonials.
But it's colonial Napoleonics.
Colonial Napoleonics. So why don't you explain everything, since this is new to me.
So this is Battle of Grahamstown, which was
outside of it. So this is the outskirts of town here.
1819, South Africa. Grahamstown is a little north of the Cape, and so the Xhosa came into town to kick the British out, and the British met them on the field in April. I think it was April.
And what year?
1819.
All right, so yeah, so right around the
Napoleonics.
Okay. Because, I mean, in painting my Napoleonics and preparation for this game, I watched Zulu, which is clearly 60-odd years later, so it's slightly different. So, you've got natives here, and so go through what you've got brigade-wise.
So I've got 2 brigades of Xhosa. There's this one,
which is 2 units of them?
2 units. Mm-hmm. This one, which is 3. So I've got 2 regular-sized units and then 1 small unit on the end.
Okay. I've got a unit of... That's a small unit, so they got lesser stats, but they're sharpshooters and they're skirmishers, and there's some inside this shack here, if you can see there. So they're basically on the outpost, and they're going to get hit first. We've got the river, then the open plain, and then over here I've got 1 brigade. Oops, actually, this brigade commander has these dragoons, light cavalry. And part of his brigade is also those skirmishers in that outpost down there. Over here I've got militia, so they're just like line infantry, except for their stats are lower, and so therefore cheaper. One thing to note, Mark has them all based on single bases. We're putting them in like 4x4s to simulate how black powder would run them. So they're in march column formation. The line infantry, British, are also in line column formation. This is my main general who rolled really badly for his stats, and I've got a cannon, we're going to say it's limbered. So this is the setup. Yes, we're playing lengthwise on 8x4, but because black powder has very generous movement rules, should you roll well, my ratings are really, really low, so for me to move 3 actions per turn, I'm going to have to roll double ones or 1 and a 2. So we'll catch after turn 1. We did turn 1. There's a bit of background noise because a lot of people for another event down here at Mark's. It turns out when we did the original black powder game, we were playing incorrectly. We thought it was one team moves, then the other team moves, then one team shoots, the other team shoots. Mark has read the rules since I lent them to him in the past 2 weeks. And so we did a couple things wrong. So the way movement works is you take your 1 brigade. So in this case, you had these 3 units in 1 brigade. And you roll for each unit within the brigade, and if they pass, they move. But if at any point they fail, the entire brigade stops moving. So that's what happened here. They moved up, he went to roll for them, they failed. So if he had failed this on the first one, none of them would have moved. In fact, I think it happened on the second one, and at the very end, his army commander is able to move 1, so I think that's move these guys. This brigade failed completely, so nobody moved out of here. So that was a quick turn for the African side. Now, these guys, I decided to roll them first. Their brigade commander is actually pretty good. He's morale 9. My main general, though, is morale 6, which is really bad. And same with this guy here. He's also morale 6. So he's trying to run over to help the rifles. These guys were able to move in march column 3 full moves, so 36 inches. These guys were able to move once, and then the brigade failed. These guys rolled a double 6. So that means if they were within line of sight, and they were, super long range, but they could see the natives way down there. So if they're in line of sight, no matter what the distance, they have to make 2 moves towards the nearest board edge. So before the game starts, they're off the board. Now I've just left them here for now, but there's a chance they come back, and everybody else just failed. All Alright, so turn 2, there's a little bit more movement. So he was able to move these lads up across the shallow river here. These guys moved up to here as well, just outside of 12 inches. These guys were disordered before, so couldn't shoot. Or sorry, couldn't charge, but could now shoot, which they did and they missed. These guys finally were able to move out from behind this small hill, and these guys still failed miserably. On his turn, he shot into there and was just out of range of throwing spears or whatever. On my turn, in a brilliant show of Britishness, these guys were able to form up into a firing line, shoot, disorder one of them by rolling a 6, and actually did a casualty. These guys failed miserably to inflict any sort of casualties. These guys are actually able to get back on the board. I took my chances. Their brigade commander at leadership 9, and the army general only has a leadership 6. So it was actually a better deal to move the brigade guy in and take the penalty to get them back on the board. So there's here, however, leadership 6. So the dragoons, I don't know. We'll just say, let's chalk it up to skittish horses. So there we go, on to turn 3. So, turn 3, you can see a sea of natives coming across here. And I've got the thin British line. Now, he did charge into the rifleman in there. Did some casualties to me, I did some casualties to him, and it was a tie. He shot, I think, through spears and missed with both units here. On my turn, these guys fired, killed a couple of guys here and there. My artillery is still limbered, but is able to move into position. So hopefully next turn it'll be unlimber and then I can open fire. These guys finally were able to move. These guys are back in the fight. And that's about it. But really, this unit of rifles, though, is shaken because there's taken 3 casualties, so 1 over at stamina. So now we're into turn 4, so yeah. We'll see if this unit is still here at the end of this turn. So turn 4 was very bloody for the British. Again, half my army left behind by inept British leadership. What a surprise. That's totally historically accurate. So, valiantly defending this outpost, the rifles finally succumb. They break and run and get overwhelmed by the savages. In a brilliant move, Mark double moved from right about here, cutting across my line infantry, taking the shooting, opportunity fire, charges my cannon, which was limbered. Now, somehow my cannon rolled double 6s to stay, to fight on, and then in my turn they died, but whatever. So that was a good move because it took the cannon out of the game. He charged in here with this brigade. As you can see there, they fell back. But he charged in with the 1st battalion, and the 2nd battalion in the back was giving support. It was actually pretty close, but I did roll an 11. Or no, I rolled, I can't remember what I rolled, but it was enough that it's because I had the excess casualties, they had to fall back. And just in time, when the rest of the army is failing, the dragoons are like, look at this, perhaps we shall turn back and defend the town. So we'll see what happens turn 5. The last is turn 5. There wasn't too much action. What did you do? You just...
I reformed it.
You reformed these guys. These guys were disordered, or shaken, so couldn't do anything. Those guys came out around there. You moved these guys from victorious from over there, over here. But the threat of these guys, I guess, prevented you from doing too much else. These guys, I was able to use my brigade commander to unshake them. They fired, brought these guys back down to shaken, and I did get a 6 of their disorder as well, so now I can be charging next turn, which is great. These guys were in a march column, so now they're no longer in a march column. And shockingly, the Boer militia actually advanced outside of their town. Who would have thunk? So maybe, just maybe, they'll take part in the action. Who knows? Alright, well now things are turning for me. Normally his skirmishing units can always evade against cavalry. However, because the unit that was right here, that's now currently fleeing off the board. Because they were shaken, disordered, sorry, they were not able to flee. So my dragoons were able to go in there. He was going to get +1 for support here. However, in a dazzling un-British show of British leadership, I rolled really well on my morale, so I was able to, if you recall, these guys were behind, they were in a line formation behind this, so I was able to reform them into the column that fit there, and then move them up to here, which enabled them to counteract his support bonus there, so I was able to win, and I broke them. This unit here, however, it got 3 action moves, and because they were skirmishers, they were able to get outside of 12 of my horse, move here, and then move here, and then shoot spears. Both units, actually, the unit that was there and here, tried to shoot spears to get the almighty 6 and cause me to be disordered. These guys moved up. This is the second turn in a row, you know. Why roll dice when they can get 1 move for free? I figured this guy here, you know what, I'll need a 5 to hit. You never know, 1 dice. I might get the 6, and sure enough I got the 6. So I picked off a guy and caused these guys to be disordered. So now it's looking up for me. He is at 3 units left. If he loses 1 more, he's going to be below half. Although I'm in the same predicament, I've only got 3 units left as well. So if one of my units should break from something, it's bad news. So it's down to the wire now. I think it's pretty much the next unit that gets lost is probably the game. The turns are coming fast and furious now, with so few units left. On his turn, he's sneaky. His goal is to get to the town and ransack the town. So he's moving his skirmishers around the flanks. So these guys moved double move. These guys moved a triple move. He was able to unshake these guys. I think his plan was to move around there, to go around my units. I gambled here. I needed to roll a 4 or less to have these guys turn in place and then charge them and hopefully break that unit, but they failed miserably because, of course, good British leadership. There we go. These guys here are at least able to fall back in good order because otherwise, I mean, they got to be out here so they can shoot at something. And the militiamen were able to reform and once again inflict another 6 on just only 1 hit. I was able to disorder them once again, so he's going to have to get outside of 12, and if he gets a triple move, I think after that it's game over. He's going to put the town to the torch, but it's coming down to the wire. Which is good, as it should, because now we're just collapsing back into the town, because the town's right here, so it's really not even 2 feet to my militia. It's about 3 feet to his infantry, so if he rolls a low morale roll, he can get here in 2 turns, no problem. And of course these guys, again, same thing. If he rolls a good roll, he'll be able to just come right down here. And because I'm in these big huge blocks, he'll be able to just come right by. So it's a good game so far. I mean, it looked grim for me, but finally my units started showing up and actually started doing something. And his units started running away, which is, you know, of course, historical. Exactly as predicted, I'm basically collapsing back. The horse, of course, failed yet again with a miserable leadership. So I'm basically turned around and they're just lined up to go straight forward and hopefully smash this unit here. But he is, you know, slowly maneuvering around. These guys had a perfect shot and did nothing. So if he gets lucky and gambles with the dice, he could win the game because he's going to be able to reach. So it's just whether or not Mark feels lucky. Who knows? You'd have to roll pretty well for it to happen, but I think you're actually better off just taking your free moves. Because what ends up happening is this brigade commander's dead for those guys. So it's either take a really long-range army commander roll or just take the free 1 move per turn. But he's got a second unit to pull it off. So I think he's going to pull it off, so we'll see. Alright, so the game ended on a pretty epic note here. I needed to inflict 2 casualties on one of the native units to break it, and at that point he would have been below half and would have to maneuver away from the enemy. Now he was here, Normally he'd have to go towards his board edge, but because I'd wheel these guys behind him to get this shots, these guys, they rolled double ones, so they got 3 action points. He had both of his units down in here. And because they failed to do so, he was able to move both units into the town and win. So, kudos to him. He was originally going to move these guys out, but I could have shot at him and brought them below half and or charged them with these guys, and that would have halted the game. So he opted for the sacking of the town route. So it went, what, 10 turns or so, roughly?
Something like that.
Something like 10 turns.
Close.
So it was really good. Initially, I thought it was like, well, there's no way the natives are going to win because like it seemed like they were super outnumbered. But my really bad leadership and the fact that I was surprised actually. I was like, okay, so I'm giving away the unit that was at the outpost down in here, but they actually held on for a couple of rounds of combat.
Yeah, they held it well.
Yeah, I should have withdrawn them. I think in hindsight, and that was a brilliant move, charging across to kill my cannon because the cannon alive would have.
Oh,
I mean, at that range, it would have been 3 canister shots right in there, and it would have just carnaged. Yeah, and these guys are the too little, too late. They actually should have stayed back here, but I don't think there's anything they could have done. I mean, at the end, I only had 3 units. These militia are really not reliable. These guys were basically moving back, hoping to get shots into there.